Soccer has taken over Philly, and when the World Cup rolls out, the party doesn't stop because we have professional soccer right here. The Philadelphia Union returned to play to host rivals Red Bull New York on July 22nd. If you've never seen a match, now's your chance with the first match on us. If you have seen a game, enter today to win VIP tickets to watch Inter Miami take on the Philadelphia Union when Lionel Messi comes to town on August 18th. Register for both at philaunion.co/citycast. It's the Tuesday News Roundup, and we're talking about how World Cup soccer fans are taking over the Rocky Steps and Lemon Hill Fan Fest. But are small businesses feeling a boost? What last week's court ruling means for the panels on slavery at the president's house. Plus, where's the line between street art and graffiti? It's Tuesday, June 23rd. I'm Trinae Nuri, and here's what Philly's talking about. Conrad Benner, he hosts the Streets Department podcast, and he's been a frequent guest here on CityCast Philly. Welcome back, Conrad.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited for this.
And also joining us is executive producer Matt Katz. Hey, Matt.
Hey, guys.
If you were a tourist to Philadelphia at this time in our history, where would you go first? Would you go to Independence Mall, visit the president's house, check out the Liberty Bell? Would you go to Reading Terminal and eat your way through Philly? Or would you take a mural tour throughout the city so you can learn about our neighborhoods?
I feel like the number one thing is to just walk around. We live in, one of the few walkable cities in the country. And, if you've never been here before, you probably don't know that you can get from Independence Mall to Reading Terminal to Rittenhouse Square to West Philly University City, all within a day's walk. So there's so much you can see and do depending on what your leg strength is and how humid it is. But there's just a lot to do to dip around. That's what I would recommend.
Great answer, Conrad, because walking is how I fell in love with the city. And I think that's totally true. You can hit all of those spots that Trinae brought up by using your own legs in a single day. Do Independence Hall, go get lunch at Reading Terminal, and then walk over to the Art Museum and run the Rocky Steps. That's a great way for a tourist to spend 6 hours in the city.
And our architecture and our public space are part of our beauty. So the parks we have along the way and the murals, as Trinae mentioned, it's all a part of it. So to get the full experience, you have to just walk around.
Well, I think that World Cup soccer fans have been getting an amazing experience. From the videos I've seen on social media, I mean, this city has been lit. Mm-hmm. And specifically one spot, everyone's going to the Rocky Steps. Wouldn't you agree?
It seems like it. I mean, if we're talking about FIFA, in preparing for this conversation, I talked with a few small business owners. Maybe we can talk about that in a second. Yeah, where are folks going? I think it's probably a couple of places. Certainly the FIFA Fan Fest seems to be attracting people. I saw some reporting that it's the most visited in the country. But yeah, the Rocky statue always attracts people. But are people going to our small businesses? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure about that either. Because before the World Cup and the Fan Fest at Lemon Hill, everyone knew Philly and the Rocky Steps. And about 4 million people come to the Rocky Steps, and it's more visited than the Liberty Bell. And so to see the face painting, the people draped in, their country flags, and the music and the tailgating at the Philadelphia Stadium, which the Haitian fans really did their thing at the tailgating on Friday. And I was like, wow, fans of these international soccer teams, they understand Philly. They understand that we're a sports town. They understand that, it's okay to wave your flag and show your team's pride. I don't know, though, if they know of the other great things that the city has to offer.
I have one anecdote that might be an answer to this, right? So I was at the Haiti-Brazil game on Friday, which was just such a wonderful experience. And you're totally right. They marched with drums and whistles down to the stadium. I was talking to a Brazilian guy in line for beer, and he kept talking about how amazing our subs are, which he used subs instead of
You mean
hoagies.
hoagie?
Exactly.
Okay.
So he used the wrong
I was
word.
like, the sub with the Broad Street line?
He used the wrong word, but he did appreciate our sandwiches, our hoagies.
You know where he got a hoagie from?
He couldn't tell me exactly. The conversation got kind of interrupted because all the Philadelphians who overheard him talking kept spitting out their favorites and telling him where to go. Where are you staying? Okay, you got to go here. This is what you do. You walk down this way, you go down to 9th.
It's funny you mentioned the subway, though, because I feel like that if you're asking me what I've noticed, I've certainly noticed more people in jerseys. I've seen a couple of the buses going by to like some fanfare. I saw a rack drive by yesterday. Everyone was really excited about that. The subways definitely seem cleaner. This is where I think there's some frustration. It's sort of like, why
Why
are we
now?
only clean?
Yeah.
The subways are cleaner than they've seen them in years and years and years and years. Why does it take this coming to Philly to make it clean for us? And I hope it stays. We'll see if this was all worth the squeeze. I mean, I think at the end of the day, people are having fun. And we'll just have to use data to figure out like if all the investment was worth it. But coming to today's sort of conversation, I reached out to a few small business owners after I saw a video on social media by Daniel McLaughlin, of the owner of Mission Taqueria. He sort of bemoaned that the city had had meetings and really led them up to believe that there would be a lot of people here, and he's not seen an increase. And they're now in their second week of what is, I think, FIFA's in Philly for 3 weeks. So then I reached out to another restaurant on South Street, just thinking maybe a different neighborhood would be better. They also saw no increase. And then I'm like, maybe people aren't going to restaurants. So I went to South Street Art Mart, which is an incredible art mart right by Jim Steaks, the sort of tourist destination. And they said they were also told by the city that they would see a lot of foot traffic, but they've seen no uptick in foot traffic and certainly no uptick in sales. So then I thought, are people taking tours? So I reached out to Mural Arts to see if people are taking mural tours, and they said there's also no uptick there.
Oh,
so
wow.
People are clearly here. Some number of people are here. 15,000 people are going to the Fan Fest, but are they just going from their Airbnb to the Fan Fest and to the stadium and not doing much else? I don't know.
I mean, here's the thing. I think if you have a friend that is from the city, they could be a better like vessel to like help you navigate. You may not want to go to Wawa for like a really good hoagie. And I don't think fans have that friend.
Yeah.
You just don't have that friend when you're traveling to a new city, a new country. You just don't know. You only know kind of like some of the bigger things. And one of the bigger things, go to the Rocky Steps.
In my head, like South Street and Jim's and like Walnut Street and Sansom Street are two areas where a quick Google of like what to do in Philly, like it'll send you to those places. So
Yeah,
I
right.
was
I'm
surprised. Like these aren't
surprised.
obscure neighborhood bistros. So I'm a little surprised.
I think maybe in our marketing, we need to be more specific, like go to
Yeah.
South Street.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Maybe we need more like celebrities to like just talk about it a little bit more. We've got plenty of influencers, but who are they influencing if you don't have that connection to someone that lives in New York or Chicago or a different country, Brazil?
I ran into a street party on Thursday night for the Korea-Mexico game. It was outside of Southgate, over on Lombard Street in Center City. The restaurant was packed, and then they had closed off the street. They were watching the game on a big screen. There were South Korean fans there, Mexican fans there. I saw a video from McGillen's, which was just like filled to the brim.
But also, when isn't McGillen's filtered?
That's what I'm now wondering, if some of these major locations are getting a boost, but maybe not some of the smaller spots, like Stateside Live, the bar across from the stadium. So after the games, it was jammed and people were doing Eagles chants and whatnot, Brazilian fans and Haitian fans. But again, if there's an event at the stadiums, that place is already going to be crowded.
I think data will tell us later. But I think my gut says like fans are doing what, Daniel compared it to the Pope and how they also didn't see an uptick during the Pope. I think their fans are doing exactly what they should be doing. They're going to the games, they're going to the FIFA Fan Fest and going back and forth from their Airbnbs. I think this might be a sign to the city, like support local efforts this much. I mean, I think this rings a lot of bells for me. I think of like how last year the Northern Liberties Night Food Fest had to cancel because of unexpected costs from the city, including overtime police expense. So if you want to attract people to the city and actually attract them to the things that make the city special, right? Like FIFA, it's cool that they're here, I guess. I don't know. I don't have a strong opinion either way. I'm really kind of agnostic for it. When I see the trucks, the buses go by, I get excited for people being excited. I'm not poo-pooing on anything, but I'm just saying like if you want to attract people here for what makes Philly special, maybe it's it's not a game that comes through once a generation. Maybe it's, things like that, supporting the local small businesses, supporting the local events efforts that are here and really propping them up. I'm also thinking about how like the Brit tax just messed a lot of small businesses up this year too. This new thing where now we have to pay 6% if you make under $100,000. Support Philly small businesses and event organizers the same way you're supporting this FIFA effort. And I think it would be just as well. It's not one or the other. I think it's just end.
Beyond the economics of it all, and again, like you said, we'll find out the data on that later.
Sure.
I do think the vibes have been really nice. I mean, I went to Fan Fest with my son. We had a great time. He played 3-on-3 in a little pitch with strangers. They have all these soccer activations there. A random 76er was walking through. He got a hug from a Dembona.
Wow.
That's so cool.
And then at the game, it was just so awe-inspiring to watch them lay out the flags of Haiti and Brazil, and the excitement in the crowd, the whole crowd, these people from all over the world. We sang "Living on a Prayer" by Bon Jovi together. For some reason, they played that over the loudspeakers, and apparently everybody knew all the words.
There was my little Philly heart fluttered. There was some drone footage that went viral. It was like one of the first Fan Fest ones where it was like the city in the background and like the Fan Fest just fold. Like, I love it.
Yeah.
Probably love it because we are this sports town and we know that feeling of supporting our team, wearing our team's colors and jerseys, and being loud and proud.
It's innate in us. Yeah. Go Birds.
Now, go Birds.
Go Birds.
What remains to be seen is the economic impact on small businesses in our neighborhoods. But y'all, I'm actually also looking forward to seeing more block parties. Now, Friday was Juneteenth. There were a lot of Juneteenth related festivals and celebrations throughout the city, but I am really wondering if our neighborhoods are going to be alive in just what day is it? It's the 23rd next week. Are our neighborhoods going to be alive for the Block Party Bonanza? That is the citywide initiative to get blocks engaged with the semi-quincentennial. I don't know.
I mean, the fact that this is the very first time I'm hearing about this.
Oh, wow.
You haven't heard about this?
I've not heard about this.
Oh my gosh, Conrad, they're giving people, if you apply to get a permit to have a block party on your block, they're going to give you a $250 gift card to go shopping to get
soda and stuff,
hamburgers and buns, and then you can get decorations for your block. Damn. You don't know about
That's
this?
great.
Oh man.
But if Conrad doesn't know about it, the city did not do a good job telling everybody
there's
about it.
so much I don't know about.
There's an app and everything.
I don't have a family. I don't have kids. Maybe if I was on that side of the algorithm, it would show me that.
But you live on a block.
I do live on a How'd you know that?
Don't give away his personal information, Shane.
No, I know. I'm not saying which block, but you live on a block.
But growing up in Philly, block parties, I mean, it's so nice. We're all so busy, especially now. I feel like we're all working more than ever and we're all so isolated with our phones and stuff that block parties are important. And I'm, if the city's making it easier for people to have block parties, because I know that was a bit of trouble a few years ago. They changed some rules and made it harder to have block parties. Love that. And especially if they're offering,
and that was
these
because
stipends.
a lot of there was a lot of violence at the time, and some neighbors were getting denied because an incident would have happened on or around their block, and then their local police district would basically deny that permit. But by measures that Matt, you love to tell me about how crime is just getting a lot better in the city. And I feel like things had to get changed very quickly in order for us to have things like the Fan Fest and bring in the World Cup. Because if crime was also the numbers that it was 3-4 years ago, I don't think we would be having a different conversation.
All of that makes me optimistic about Philly and feeling good about Philly. I think it's a positive moment in our city, all in all.
We've got more news after this break. Fiddler Club might be Philadelphia's best kept secret. It is a members-only club designed for the way people actually live today. It's all under one roof. You can start your morning with a workout, take meetings from a co-working space or private office, then end the day with dinner, drinks, bowling, or time with your friends. Located right across from 30th Street Station, Fiddler Club brings together fitness, work, dining, and social life in one incredible space. The club features a 2-floor fitness center, indoor pool, golf simulator, cold plunge, co-working spaces, private rooms and offices, 2 bars, a restaurant, private balconies, and even complimentary babysitting for members. So whether you're looking to be healthier, grow your network, get more done, or just have a better place to spend time in the city, Fiddler Club gives you a place for it all. Learn more and apply today at fiddlerclub.com. Art Philly's What Now 2026 is a citywide festival taking place throughout Philadelphia now through July 2nd. Upcoming events and performances include Blacktronica, Philadelphia Now and Then. Celebrated musician, producer, curator, and professor King Britt has long been a pivotal figure in placing his hometown on the global electronic music map. His course, Blacktronica, Afrofuturism in Electronic Music, is a celebration of contributions of innovators of color to electronic music. It's grown into a festival with events in Los Angeles, Brooklyn, Knoxville, Paris, and more cities slated for 2026. For tickets to these projects and more at What Now 2026, visit artphilly.org. All right, y'all, let's move over to 6th and Market Streets, and I'm talking about the President's House. And boy, has this been a ongoing legal saga. And this is all around basically the conversation of, can the federal government determine what American history is displayed for the public? And we are talking about the slavery exhibit panels that highlight the lives of 9 enslaved people that lived at the former residence of President George Washington. Okay, so this is what the latest is. The federal appeals court said that the Trump administration was allowed to remove the panels that talked about slavery and the 9 enslaved people that lived and worked at the site. They were able to take it down from the president's house. It basically overruled a lower court ruling that the panels had to be put back. And remember, that was what came out in February. So then the city of Philadelphia had sued over this, saying the panels on slavery could not be removed. But these 3 appeals court judges disagreed with that. The city wasn't able to convince these judges that it had a right to decide what the content would be on these panels. And that's because this particular panel of judges of the Third Circuit basically said the city doesn't have decision-making powers at this particular site. Now, even though the city had donated the president's house to the National Park Service, the agency, the Park Service, maintains this site. So even though there's like this shared, like, oh, we're both kind of on this property, this still belongs to the federal government. And so then there was questions about, well, what are the panels going to say? Are you going to whitewash the history? Are you going to downplay the history? But the court said, no, we looked at what the federal administration wants to replace these panels with. And the information that they're presenting, quote, are full of historical context.
So the city lost.
The city lost.
You know, I'm old enough to remember a Republican Party that was pro states' rights, and the idea that we now have a Republican Party where the president is choosing what's at 6th and Market Street. Don't you have other things to worry about?
And the larger context, Conrad, is that it was an executive order that all national sites have to portray America positively. And by noting that there were slaves being held by the first president of the United States, that was considered negative.
And also, for greater context, these were enslaved people at a time when Philadelphia had already decided to start pushing away from slavery. And what George Washington did, and the rule was if an enslaved person had lived in the city for more than 6 months, they were emancipated. And he would take them back to below where the rule was happening, Virginia, right? Every like 5.5 months just to keep them enslaved. This is American history. This is our first president. We don't have very many monuments or works of public art, especially in our historic district, that really remember and hold up and center this history. And it's an important part of our history. To remove it here is wild to me.
And see, going back to the earlier segment, I would then tell you, and I would hold your hand, Conrad, and I would say, okay, I am going to be your vessel to tell you about other things happening and other ways that you can find out about the other history that was happening. You're standing on the corner of 6th and Market Street. You just turn your head and you look up Market Street. You'll see a historical blue plaque. And that tells you the story of Ona Judge, one of the enslaved women who lived at this site. And she escaped and was never caught. I then would hold your hand and we would go on the walking tour that is run by 1838 Black Metropolis. They will take you on the tour. They will teach you about the site, about other sites, walking you all the way to Mother Bethel AME Church and throughout parts of that historical district. And so, although this might seem like a loss for the city or there's potential for a different type of interpretation of the history, that also signals to me as a Philadelphian, as a Black woman, that I got to do my own research and I can't rely on other people to tell me about my people.
One consequence of the plaques coming down originally was that Philadelphians did go to that site. And they put up cardboard and they wrote some of the histories and they offered links and printed out pages of articles about these histories to not lose them there. I think if you're looking at the site, clearly enough Philadelphians want the history of our country there. That, the Trump administration can only last a few more years. I'm sure this will get overturned eventually. In the meantime, I'm sure all of these efforts will continue to push. I made a video that went really viral, got over 1 million views, but there were a couple of people who stood out there in the snow. It was really cold when this first happened. And they just recited what was on the plaques before and offered people to go uncover the history for themselves since it wasn't on these plaques anymore.
Conrad, the fact that your video got 1 million views, I mean, to me, that's the silver lining in this, is that I do think more people do know a fuller history of slavery in our country just by the videos, the news stories that were generated as a result of the Trump administration's actions here. I mean, I never learned in school that George Washington owned slaves at all. They did not teach us that. And I imagine most Americans did not learn that in school. So this fight that Trump picked, I hope maybe that indicates that there's more awareness of this piece of American history.
It also feels like the aftermath of the killing of George Floyd, when everyone was stuck at home because of the pandemic, and we were all forced to watch this tragedy unfold. And then there were conversations about race and police brutality pretty much happening everywhere. On TV, in the streets, people were protesting, and conversations on the internet. And a friend of mine from elementary school reached out to me and was sort of had this like sentiment of like, oh, I didn't know. Like, this is what, you go through. And I kind of was like, huh? Like, this is what people have been talking about, fighting for years. Like, what do you think the civil rights movement was all about? Like, how are you not aware of these conversations and these things happening in America? And I think some people choose to ignore things that don't impact them, or it doesn't happen in my community, so I'm safe. And it kind of upsets me because I've been Black all my life, y'all. So it's like I have a different perspective. And I'm just like, yeah, these stories are stories I heard from my grandmother. And thank God that she kept those stories and taught us some of these stories. Because, Matt, similar to what you said, I also was educated in American schools, and we did not go deep enough about slavery. And it wasn't until I reached college at Hofstra University, at Temple University, that I had conversations with my peers about slavery and race and these experiences, these American history experiences.
It makes me think too, like, what is the purpose of art in the public space when it comes to monuments or public art? Like, yeah, do we want it to represent any of the real histories that are there? If you're a tourist or you're young, you're a school student, maybe you didn't, you grew up in an environment where like that wasn't part of your education. You leave old city Philadelphia just thinking like, wow, Ben Franklin was really important and George Washington was president, you know? Is this something that we want to have our public space sort of reflect more of our history, more of our histories? I think it's important. And I think that's why people are fighting so hard to keep the history at that site and maybe have more.
If you're not talking about it over and over and over and over and over again, people will forget.
Yeah.
We need more of like people doing like things that you're doing, like posting videos, keep the messaging going, keep the stories being told, keep it going, because people's attention spans are so short that if you weren't keeping up with this whole legal battle, you would have like, oh yeah, I forgot that was happening.
The mayor did say she will pursue every legal avenue possible to reverse this decision. We have a clip of her from last week talking about this in the aftermath of the judge's decision.
We cannot and we will not rest until the full story of American history, including the existence of slavery at the president's house here in our great city of Philadelphia, the birthplace of democracy, is told for our nation and, quite frankly, the world to see.
Matt, it's still unclear, like, what are the next steps?
Right.
So it seems like the attorneys for the federal government say that the new panels that they have, they're ready to be installed. And these panels apparently are countering the argument that the information is whitewashed. This is what one of the judges said. Quote, they acknowledge, meaning the panels, the evil of slavery, including its injustices and hypocrisies, and by telling the story of the 9 slaves that Washington kept in the president's house, remind us of their essential humanity.
It is interesting that this was started with the Trump administration decision to get rid of any mention of slavery, and now they are including some mention of slavery in the panels.
Maybe they did some research.
You're going to replace it with. And so we'll see what happens when these panels do show back up, and then we'll see what happens in the court case, because there's actually another case moving in Boston that deals with the changes that the National Park Service is making to historical sites throughout the country. So it's possible that any decisions in that case could affect the president's house here in Philadelphia.
Or even if this case goes up to the Supreme Court.
We'll see. Let us decide what's on our intersection. We're a city of 1.6 million people. We can decide what's on our 6th and Market Street. We have historians here. We have leaders here. We have public art organizations here. We have organizations that focus on monument building. Like, let us figure it out.
I think it's also important, like you're saying too, Conrad, that people stepped up. Immediately after the panels were taken down, people came to the site and they put up their own interpretations, their own forms of protest, if you will. And so that brings us to our third segment, which we'll talk about after this break. So we just talked about the president's house and how folks, if they don't like something, they'll step up and put up their own stuff. And so the question becomes, are things that we put on walls, sidewalks, and public fountains, is it street art or is it graffiti?
And you're bringing this up because I came to you and I said, over the last week, I've seen this new tag all over South Philly, and it is meatball, heart, and then you. This is what this tag says. At first, I thought it was extremely charming. The first one I saw, I actually took a picture and sent it to my wife. And she's like, why are you calling me a meatball? I'm like, no. I just thought it was cute.
Like, meatball loves you.
Meatball loves you. I love you. I'm meatball. And then I saw it again. And then I saw it again and again and again and again on like
everywhere.
One walk in South Philly, and not just on abandoned walls, but on sidewalks and on the sides of operating small businesses. I think I saw a dozen of these. And then on Sunday, I saw it on the blue tiles of the singing fountain in the center of Passyunk Avenue, which is a neighborhood gem where people hang out and drink coffee and chat. And there's no other street art there, no other graffiti. and it just, Meatball, love you. And then I'm like, what is going on here? So Conrad, what is
Sure.
the deal with Meatball, heart you?
Okay, and for context, for those who don't know, for the last 15 years, I've been running a multimedia project called Streets Department that explores art in our public space and has conversations with the creative minds shaping the world around us. And that shows up as a blog, videos on social media, and a podcast. And on that, our most recent episode, the one that'll be at the top if you go there now, is with a street artist who talks about this extensively, this idea of like creating work in the public space that's non-commissioned. I mean, there's so many different things I could say here. I want to start by referencing Swoon, who was a really famous street artist in the 90s, who was on my old podcast many years ago. And the way she talked about graffiti was basically, you don't want to live in a city where graffiti doesn't exist, because graffiti is an expression of democracy. When you see graffiti on the walls of your city, it is a statement that people feel safe enough to write on their own walls. And I think that's a really beautiful way to think about it. Whether you like graffiti or not, it might be a good sign that we have graffiti. When you think of places around the world that don't have graffiti, they might be a little more restrained or authoritarian.
So basically, graffiti is an actual visual medium that we are creative, that the city's alive.
It's for me, it's a sign that the population you have is asking questions and pushing back. I mean, really, graffiti is doing a lot of things. It's blurring the line of legality. It's asking what ownership is of public space. You asked what's the difference between graffiti and street art. And really, the answer to that is different everywhere you go. Like if you talk with an artist from Colombia, they will say this, that, and the other thing. In Philly, generally, like street art or graffiti is like lettering. It's a hand style. It's kind of what maybe hopefully pops in your mind first when you think of graffiti. There's a great graffiti exhibition happening right now, actually, at 2nd and Callow Hill that people could check out. They could look at how the modern day graffiti movement started in Brewery Town here in Philly and North Philadelphia, and how it's a global phenomenon. Graffiti is everywhere around the world, and it started here in Philadelphia. And this is not just us, you know, patting ourselves in the back. Like even the New York Times wrote that we are the birthplace of the modern day graffiti movement. Of course, it moved very quickly to New York, trained graffiti, and now it's all over the world. It's an important art form. It's maybe one of the most important art forms of the modern era. So yeah, you know, sometimes graffiti writers and street artists do things that people don't love. Writing on the fountain, you may or may not love, but it's interesting. I have found over the years that when an artist starts, they never exist, and then all of a sudden they're everywhere. And they might have a trajectory of a few months or a few years or be there forever. To assuage you a little bit though, like it is rare to go on like a public fountain. Most street artists will stay on a few materials: construction walls, abandoned buildings, and what are often called empty spaces, like the back of a parking sign.
Why is that?
I think over the years, just this culture of respect has developed. People usually won't go over murals. People will almost never go over each other's stickers or tags or other work. There's this general idea of like respecting each other's artwork, but also like respecting the city, respecting small businesses, respecting homes. It's very rare you're going to see a tag or street art on someone's like personal home or small business, or usually not a fountain. But,
so what do you make of Meatball Loves You being on the fountain, Conrad, and on a small business?
They got excited and they put it on the fountain. Who knows? I mean, it's very easy to clean those fountains. It
You're not concerned about it. Okay.
Bother me either way.
See, this is what I was concerned about: interpretation. And we just were talking about that, like how the word meatball is being used, because there is an influencer here in Philly. Her name is Deja Blackwell, and she goes by Meatball. Everyone knows her on social media.
It's her? Like that was my first
I don't think
thought.
it's her, but what I'm saying is like the idea that something could get misinterpreted, it could get culturally shifted, changed, then it gets attached to her or gets attached to another meaning or whatever. And it's someone maybe outside or that doesn't have the context of who she is, gets things conflated. This could cause another like snowball effect of something else. Now, the meatball that I automatically went to, she has a slogan, ain't nothing. So what she sells like on beanies and t-shirts, if it was like Meatball Loves You, ain't nothing, then I'd be like, that's that meatball. But
it's so interesting.
I wonder what this
maybe
meatball,
it's a fan of Meatball. Maybe it's a supporter of Meatball saying like, you know, this is a Philadelphian I love. I don't know. I mean, the street art comes with no plaque. The interpretation is left up to you. And like I said, like this could be gone tomorrow. Who knows? Maybe this artist is doing this for one weekend and we'll never see it again. Or maybe it'll last forever and it'll become a Philadelphia lore like Stickman.
My head went to a totally different place. I initially thought of Snooki from the Jersey Shore because she used to call herself a meatball. You don't even need a picture. It can just be words, and people have different interpretations of it coming across it on the street.
My favorite interview with an artist was when you ask them about a piece. You know, oftentimes artists can talk pretty liberally about like their practice and how they got into it and like what their goals are. But oftentimes when you ask artists specifically about a piece, I've even done interviews where they say, I'm not going to say anything about it. It's for you to have your own interpretation for. Come to it with whatever you want to come to it with and let it inspire you or not, or attract you or not. And, you know, we live in a city with thousands of murals and thousands of works of public art and monuments and street art at every corner. So you can look where you want to look and feel how you want to feel. But I love that. I'd rather live in that than, what's the alternative? A city with gray walls everywhere?
Conrad and Matt, what is inspiring you currently right now in Philadelphia? What's inspiring you both?
Okay, I have two answers. One is personal and one's job related. Personal is the weather has been so nice.
It has.
My boyfriend and I were walking around yesterday and we like had a beer outside. We're like, I guess it's just late spring. And then we were like, oh yeah, the equinox hasn't even happened yet. Or it was like that day. And I was like, but this humidity, what do we have to do?
It's good. It's manageable.
So
it's
nice.
bearable.
The career one is that, you know, the Streets Department podcast was this thing I started in 2017. It lasted to about 2021, and then it went on hiatus. I worked with WHRY for a couple of years, and now I'm bringing the Streets Department podcast back, and it's this opportunity to have conversations with the creative mind shaping the world around you. And the next two episodes are really special to me. We interview Sophia Cristal, who nearly won Drag Race a couple of seasons ago, and Chris Rabb, who just won to be our next congressperson from the Philadelphia area.
Oh yeah, Chris Rabb. He won the Democratic nomination in the 3rd Congressional District.
And they're really different and unique and special conversations. And it just feels good to be back, which is also why I'm glad you all invited me. I mean, that's also on my sort of like happy moment. I've always been a big fan of CityCast Philly. I'm just grateful to be invited and to bring whatever expertise or knowledge I have to these conversations, because what you do is really important for the city. We need a CityCast Philly. We need this to be so strong. So I'm excited that you're doing this work.
Conrad, CityCast loves you.
Oh, that is
play
inspiring.
on the meatball loves you.
Meatball loves you.
If I start singing that tag, we know it's Trinae.
That's sweet, Conrad. I
Matt,
love that.
what's inspiring you?
Every day, this city surprises me. I've been here for 24 years. The other day, I was walking down a tiny block in South Philly, and I found this massive, beautiful church on a tiny residential block. I'm sure Conrad knows it. St. Mary Magdalene de Pazzi. It's on 7th and Montrose. And it was apparently the first Italian parish in the United States. I looked at it and I was transported back 100 years because it's on a row home block. It's just this beautiful, magnificent building on a little row home block. I never knew it was there. Beautiful building. Check it out.
Full circle. What's the first thing we said for tourists? Just walk around, because you've been here 24 years. We have a beautiful city.
We do.
A walkable city, a city full of incredible people. And you experience that when you walk around. Maybe that's what the tourists are doing.
Right? Maybe.
I love seeing the country flags of the countries from around the world on 5th Street. So if anyone's listening, you're new to Philly, you're here for the World Cup, go and, like we said, just walk around. All right, Matt, Conrad, thank you so much for joining me for this Tuesday News Roundup.
I loved it. Love chatting with you guys.
That's all for today here on CityCast Philly. If you enjoyed this Tuesday News Roundup, share this with a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and hit that subscribe button. Also, text me and leave me a voicemail. Let me know how you are feeling about the stories and what your thoughts and perspectives are. And maybe we can use what you have to say for a future episode. Send that text over, that voice memo at 215-259-8170. And be sure to sign up for our morning newsletter to learn more about what else Philly's talking about. And don't forget, you can support the show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Philly neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Bye.